Hey, this is Devon Dudley of the Dudley Boys, and you are listening right now to Interactive Radio. Oh, my brother, testify.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio. We're going to jump right to the interview in just a moment, and that interview will be a very special guest. I'll tell you about him in just 1 second. Just want to give you a quick programming note. After the interview, we have a very special Wrestlemania preview where we run down the card, and I do mean run it down, as well as give our predictions on the event itself. So you knew a Wrestlemania weekend couldn't go by without another Interactive Wrestling Radio broadcast. Great interview today. Proud to say we have from the Team 3D Professional Wrestling and Sports Entertainment Academy, none other than Devon Dudley, brother Devon, however you want to phrase it, the TNA Hall of Famer, will be joining us in just a moment, and we're going to jump right to that actually right now. Hope you guys enjoy this interview. It was a lot of fun to do. Great guy, and I think that you guys should really listen to what he has to say about the Team 3D Academy. $9.99 this week and next. You can get a year of training from one of the most prolific tag teams of our time. I mentioned it, and they said themselves, if there's a 1 and 2 in tag team wrestling, it's LOD and Team 3D. And they say themselves they're number 2. Some people argue otherwise. But great interview with a great guy, and I think you're going to really enjoy hearing about the school, as well as hearing a couple of other things, like a potential WWE return and the Aces and Eights. I don't need to talk about it. Let him talk about it. Here we go right now. Interactive Wrestling Radio at WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Well. It is I, the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner, and you are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Keep listening and have yourself an eargasm. Look out.
Welcome back to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio. On the Newsmaker line with me right now is a gentleman who last joined us actually 10 years ago. Funny little thing for him. While we were doing the interview 10 years ago, he was rolling around on the bed playing dead to his kids, shooting them with finger guns, and here we are 10 years later.
And I'm rolling around the hotel bed.
It's the best way to do these things, if you just relax and do what you do. Man, it's great to have you on the show again.
Thank you. Hold on. I don't think you announced who I was.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. I have the phone. Devon Dudley. Devon Dudley, brother Devon. I'm sorry. I must be rusty at this.
Good, man. I'm doing well, man. Not bad. Here at WrestleMania weekend, having a great time here in San Jose with a lot of fans, and just enjoying myself.
You're taking part of some of the WrestleMania weekend festivities with the all the guys around the area?
Well, just, all of the guys from past, present, and future-wise, like 7 at a time, and, doing what I got to do.
Very good. Well, when we last spoke to you, you guys were just getting settled in with TNA. Obviously, there's been a lot of ups and downs since then, and one of the ups has been that you guys have opened your own training school. And I guess the first question I have for you is, a lot of times the training schools are opened by guys who are, finished with their careers or finishing up. You guys did it when you were still in your peak. What made you guys decide it was time to get behind the training side of things?
Well, in 2005, when we left in July, the WWE, we knew we were getting ready to go to TNA, but we also knew we were getting ready to go to Japan. And although we were only off about 2 or 3 months, anyone who's in this business know a week of not being in that ring can hurt you. And so after being off 2 months, we went to a wrestling school in the area. And there was a lot of things that, because I came from Johnny Rogers Wrestling School. And,
Yep.
That was, the wrestling school to come from.
Bubba did too, as far as I know.
Exactly. So I didn't know anything about, I've heard stories about, wrestling schools that take your money and not, do whatever. I'd never really experienced it until I went to this one wrestling school and basically went down there, and the guy really wasn't training these guys. I mean, we were down there trying to warm up, trying to get ourselves in ring shape because it was the only, place at that time we knew that had a ring that we can go and do that, and hoping that we can go in there and, the students, we help the students out a little bit and this and that. This guy really wasn't doing anything with them. And I think after about a year or two went by, and some of those guys were getting frustrated. I was going down there helping them out, and they said, "Why don't you guys open up a wrestling school? If you did that, we would definitely come." And I was like, "Really?" And I approached Bubba with the idea, and him and I always decided that we were going to open up a wrestling school. And thus, we, put our heads together, and we opened up Team 3D Academy in Kissimmee, Florida.
Very good. And it's a much different environment. Kissimmee, Florida, to where you guys were trained up in New York. But it seems like it's kind of becoming the hotbed of where a lot of the training is going on. Why is it that the center of wrestling training has kind of moved from the Northeast to more, obviously with WWE and a lot of other training schools around your area as well?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, right now, I mean, you know what, both places, I mean, I can't just say right now, both places are somewhat hot. Indie wrestling is actually making a move back. And I'm starting to see that little by little in the North and the South. A lot of it has to do with also the fact that NXT moved down here. They were down here before, it was called FCW, but then they changed it to NXT. Right, and they changed it to, NXT. And, right now it just seems like Florida is just a hotbed now for wrestling in terms of, the wrestling schools, and we just happen to be the one that really sticks out. Happy that, the WWE has taken so many of our guys and has used them for tryouts and things of that nature. It's a great thing because it just gives us the green light to say that, hey, we know what we're doing. We understand what you need to do in order to get a tryout or to do what you have to do to get to that level. And, there have been guys that they have recommended if they didn't have it or if they were, a little short on, what they wanted, they would say, hey, go to the Dudley school. They have a very good, school that's very reputable, and you're being trained by the best. And we take pride in that. In our
Absolutely.
Wrestling school, we don't let anybody leave that school unless we know fully that you are going to represent that school in a good way, in a great way at that. We allow, the beginners come in. We have it very structured. It's not a bunch of guys around the ring, round robin, and what the round robin means. It's not a bunch of guys around the ring just tagging in and out and doing different moves and not knowing what the hell they're doing. Everything is structured.
I think I saw that on Tough Enough last time.
Yeah, no. Are you trying to trick me into things? No, but everything is structured, and basically, we take 45 of the basic moves in pro wrestling that you're going to see no matter what. We take those moves and we teach you those moves. And once we teach you those moves and you get your transition and all of that together, then you graduate and you go to the advanced class. And from the advanced class, we teach you storytelling, things like that, how to put a match together, what to do in the match and what not to do. And the great thing about it is where most wrestling schools don't have it with these guys that we have a name, Bubba and I are hands-on. We are in the ring helping you. I'm in the ring helping you. Bubba is there helping with promos and storytelling and things like that. So that's one of the advantages that you have when you come to Team 3D Academy is that we're not guys that just opened up a wrestling school and decided to put our name on it and then had other guys teach you. We're actually getting in that ring and helping you along and teaching you. We're the main trainers.
Absolutely, and that was one of the things that comes across on the video that you guys have when you first go to your website. What I wanted to do, you mentioned Johnny Rods, and I actually have written him down as a footnote on the interview, and I wanted to ask you, does his training style kind of spill over to how you guys train? Because I know you were trained by him, and as was Bubba, Bully, however you want me to phrase him, and Sonny Blaze and all the other guys that were a part of the school up there. Has their influence on how they taught you guys spilled over to how you do it, or do you feel you have your own unique style?
Well, Sonny Blaze never was a factor in my career. I've never, ever had to deal with Sonny Blaze. I never met Sonny Blaze. It was strictly Johnny Rodz.
For you,
It was strictly Johnny Rodz. And Johnny, yes, a lot of things that Johnny did and taught us, we basically brought to Team 3D Academy. You know, a lot of people, and I'm sure some people know because of the Internet and how information gets out, myself, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, Damian Demento, you know, Big Dick Dudley, Hugh Morris, so many guys, and even, you know, Piper gives Johnny a lot of credit for his upbringing in the business.
Right.
But so many guys have gone through the doors of Johnny Rodz' school and has been successful that it was a no-brainer to take his method and what he did and to bring it into our school. Listen, I don't care how much the business changes. I don't care how much it evolves into this new generation of doing things. If you don't have good storytelling, if you don't know your basics and know how to put a match together, then I don't care all the flipping and flying that you do. You're on borrowed time. It's going to fall short one day. And my thing is this: Johnny Rodz' method and way of doing things, and the people that he's produced that come out of his school and has been successful, has been proven the right way of doing things. And
absolutely.
I'm very happy and honored to be able to take what he's taught me and Bubba, and to be able to put that in our school and let that live on. Because long after he's gone, I'm going to move it. And when long after me and Bubba gone, somebody else, we're going to bring in them and how to, you know, do a wrestling school that's going to be successful. That's the only way to do it. Because if you look at me and Bubba likes to refer to us as the rock group Kiss. You know, when Kiss basically, you know, came out with Detroit Rock City and Christine and Dr. Love and all of that.
You're speaking my language right now.
Exactly. You love to hear those songs. You loved it. I don't care how old you were. I don't care how young you loved it. And when they made the new songs, not knocking on Kiss, you didn't care for it. You know, you wanted to see Gene Simmons blow the fire. You wanted to see him spit the blood. You wanted to see Ace Frehley go crazy. You wanted to see all of that.
Well, they took the makeup off for a while, too.
Exactly. And when they did that, it really didn't matter anymore. But once they went back and did that, it spoke volumes. Kiss was number one again.
Right.
It's the same thing with this wrestling business.
And the ironic thing is, between you and me, the music was actually better when they took the makeup off, but people didn't care. They just wanted the whole show.
They wanted the gimmick.
Exactly.
Wanted the gimmick. And it's the same thing with the wrestling business. I don't care how many flips and flies you do and how much acrobatic has come into pro wrestling. They still want good storytelling. They still want good versus evil. And that's what Johnny taught. That's what we teach. Good storytelling. When you watch Bubba and I, like I said, we're like Kiss. We'll give you everything you want. Good storytelling and things that you know. The 3D, the what's up, the belly to back. Taking homage to, you know, and giving respect to LOD by doing the Doomsday. We do things that the fans recognize. Listen, you don't take away, you know, from the people, you don't take away from the business what got you there in the first place. And
it was actually, you mentioned LOD, and I wanted to throw this out there and compliment you guys, because shortly after we did our interview, there was a debate on our forums that was debating. We don't even have the forums anymore. People have just moved on to social media. But at the time, people were arguing about who's the better tag team of all time. And shortly thereafter, you guys did the Wrestle Reunion and paid homage to LOD. And I got to tell you, that put you guys in such a good light in my book, that you guys were respectful to the lineage of, I mean, if there's a 1 and a 1A, it's you guys and LOD in the tag team annals, and there you guys go. So it was really cool to see you guys do that.
Well, you know, the bottom line is this: we know who set the path for us. LOD was definitely the ones. We always put over Animal and Hawk. We always said that they were number one, regardless to how many, you know, tag teams that have been out there, regardless to what, you know, people say today. You can say we're number one, but we say we're number two. LOD will always be number one in our hearts because we're taking over where they left off. And that's how it goes. And that's how it always will be. And it's no different than in this business and how we do things. You know, you can't have a future without recognizing the past. That's how it works. And, again, that's what we do at Team 3D Academy. When we tell them to study tapes, when we tell them to, even if they go and order the WWE Network, we tell them, that's the deal. You need to go and study the Hogan and Andre era. You need to study the Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes era. You definitely need to study the Attitude era, the Bret and Shawn era. That's where wrestling is. That's where wrestling will always be. Not taking anything away from the new generation of wrestling. But in hindsight, when you look at it when business was hot and when it was what it was, there you go. It speaks volumes. Not to mention, and I mentioned the WWE Network at $9.99. Team 3D Academy is also doing the same thing, $9.99, $999, 1 year, 12 months, getting absolute great training by two of the best, ECW, WWE, TNA, NWA, you name it, New Japan, All Japan. You're being taught for $9.99. This special goes on for 1 more week. It was so good for the last 2 weeks that we put it on that we extended it for 1 more week.
Absolutely, and that's why I contacted you guys, because I thought it was a great deal. And, I talk to a lot of wrestling fans, and a lot of guys say they want to get in the ring and do it. And, there's different schools you could go to, but you guys seem to have the one that's producing the ones who are actually getting the opportunities right now. And
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, such a diverse group of characters, just even in the TNA ranks that you guys have produced. You got Jesse Neal was one of your guys. You have Chris Melendez, who was one of your guys. Rosie Lotolove, completely different gender and body shape and everything. Again, one of your people. So it's a diverse group that you guys have produced.
Yep, and then you can't forget Jesse Sarno. He was one.
That's right.
Jesse from the Bros. He was one of ours as well. Sam Shaw was one of ours as well. And also Big Rob Terry. He's one of ours, And we also train Haku's boys. Legendary WWE great Haku. His boys. One who's in Japan, who's just ripping it up right now. And the other one, he was Pate. He's doing phenomenal in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He came to us. Haku, legendary WWE superstar, former superstar Haku, thought enough for our school to bring his 2 sons to our school to be taught by us. Like I said, Pate basically went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Tafita basically was in the WWE developmental, actually appeared on SmackDown as well, and NXT.
Wow. And NXT, such a big part of what people are talking about right now. My only regret is that it's a WWE-owned product, because it seems to have that rebel spirit, and it can't really be that rebel because it's owned by the biggest game in town. But they are so much – they're what everybody on the Internet's talking about in terms of wrestling, and it really is just because it's a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially it.
Well, again, I like the fact that what the WWE is doing with NXT, and they're trying to get the young stars and really trying to put them out there. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again, in order to get the younger stars over and to have the people to be able to connect with them, you need the older guys to basically do that. If that means the teaching of the way the business should be to help the younger guys get over, then that's the way it should be. And, I'm very, very, happy that the WWE has basically took on NXT and made this what it is today. Because, again, they have a lot of bright stars over there. And, one of the greatest things about it is we have guys that go over there and try out all the time. Like you said, Rosie Lotolove, who was one of them. We have another tag team, great tag team called the Los Pendejos.
Yeah. I love the name, by the way.
Oh, I love it. They're actually there going back and forth with tryouts and this and that. We have so many guys that have stepped through the NXT doors and that have tried out and said they love their work and this and that, and they keep coming back. There's a young lady by the name of Blue Pan.
I've heard a lot about her. About her.
Yep, she's our student as well. So you have a lot of people out there that really, that don't know Because, again, that's one of the things that unless they do an in-depth thing about their lives and stuff like that, the younger people, you don't know that they've all come from Team 3D Academy.
Absolutely.
So you don't know, but they have. They all came from Team 3D Academy, and they're all doing extremely well. See, we're not old. We're not out of the norm where we don't know what's going on in today's, in the business.
Absolutely. Hey, as of 2 years ago, you guys were part of one of the hottest things going. So.
Yeah, and we know what's going on, so we know how to teach these guys to get them ready. We're not guys that have outdated and still won't change with the formula. We like to say this. Our thing is we like to take the old school rules and put a twist with the new school tools.
That's right.
That's what we do. And
I actually have that quote written down on the piece of paper in front of me from some other interviews you guys have done. That's absolutely seems to be the motto of the school, of the academy.
You have to do that because, again, I look at it like you say. I use this analogy where you take basketball. You know, you have Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, where they were the big men of the time, in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
And you needed them, and they would be up there. They would do what they would do. Then all of a sudden, you went from just being a big man to being a big man that can dunk. And there's Dr. J. And now the business is starting to revolve, and now everybody's starting to do a dunk here and there. And then all of a sudden the 80s come around, and now all of a sudden you got, MJ, you got Michael Jordan, who's now just doing things with basketballs that nobody thought could ever be done.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you move on to this generation, and you got Kobe, and you got LeBron James, and, it's just like each generation just steps up even more. It's the same thing with pro wrestling. Each generation steps up. You have to evolve with times. But, again, you don't forget what brought you to the dance, and that is the old school way of doing things.
Right.
And when you do that and introduce it to the new school, the business can explode. And that's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we do at Team 3D Academy, and which is why we are so successful in the people that we turn out.
Absolutely. One of the things I was impressed with, and you were doing this before the Performance Center came into play, is you mentioned that you guys work on promos and you record things and you let the guys try to develop their own personas and characters and who they're going to be when they actually hit that ring, as opposed to just throwing out, well, my name is Dave, or you guys are a wrestler. You guys provide a character or allow them to explore what character they want to be.
Absolutely. Well, what we do is, I tell the kids all the time, the reason why Austin, the reason why The Rock, the reason why Taker, why these guys like that, and if you look at the Attitude Era as a whole, the reason why they were so successful with their character was because it was them.
Right.
It was natural. It was part of them. Listen, Austin was a foul-mouthed, beer-drinking redneck. He said it all the time. It really was Austin. The Rock, conceited, can come at you with a punchline like that and back it up. And that was The Rock.
Right.
Taker. There were times where I've been in that ring with Taker, and I actually thought he really was dead. So it was them. When you can take a character that's very close to you and make it to the point to where, it becomes you, because it is you, that's successful. When you try to put things on people, a character that it's not them, it's not a segment of them, and then all of a sudden you want them to portray it and hope they would hit a home run with it, it doesn't work. You usually got to take what is part of them and make it happen. And that's what we're doing. We got a guy now called Chuckles, and he's at the school, and he's creepy. He reminds me, and I pointed this out because, he was at the school for a while, and I started watching him, and I said, who you remind me of? You remind me of the clown that played in Devil's Reject. I said, because you kind of, I don't know, for some reason you do. And, you're going to be seeing him soon. And, he took this character, and, he just went, wow. He just went way beyond what I thought he could take with this character.
Wow.
And it's amazing every time I see him at the school and what he does. Because at Team 3D Academy, again, we break it down to where you have the beginner's class and the advanced class. The beginner's class, they do things where we're going to teach you how to transition. We're going to teach you the moves and, and this and that. And then when you get to the advanced class, you're going to go to storytelling, promos, and things of that nature. Well, when he graduated and went to the advanced class, basically it was like a whole new person came out of him. And he was able to project that when I told him the character he should be doing. And, I mean, he just took it and ran with it and is running with it on the indie scene.
Well, awesome! I can't wait to see what he brings when he makes it to television. Something that is going to be a medium that I could check him out on, because that's going to be cool. That's
Absolutely.
what I love to hear.
Absolutely.
I do have a question for you. You mentioned a name that's been in the news that was trained by Johnny Rods, and it kind of plays into one of my questions that I have written down. You mentioned Hugh Morris, Bill DeMott, however you want to phrase him. On our Facebook page, again, I mentioned social media, we have a couple guys who do training. Kevin Knight out of New Jersey. We have Manny Villalobos in Texas. Chaz Taylor from Texas as well, Houston area. These are all trainers who are, follow our Facebook page and kind of comment on the things that I put up there. And one of the things I put up there was, when do you know if it's too rough? And of course I'm getting at the whole news stories involving Bill DeMott and all that. Do you guys ever have to wonder, are we pushing them too hard, or do you know, because you were pushed hard yourselves, what they can and should expect?
This business, and I think Bubba and I say it best, is not ballet. I don't know the situation at hand of what's going on with Bill DeMott and the whole NXT thing. I've heard certain things, but stuff like that, I just tend to leave it alone. I don't want to get involved with it. But as far as knowing how far to push and this and that, listen, growing up in this business and the way things used to be back in the day, it was very, very hard. Did you get beat up? Did you get stretched? Did you get all of that stuff? Absolutely, but it made you a better person. Johnny Rods would do that, but yet show you why. Because in hindsight, you got to think about it. You're in there. You make it to the big leagues. You're in there. You're making money. There's going to be somebody jealous. And if that person is jealous, he's going to try to take you out. You have to be taught how to protect yourself at all times. So everybody thinks this game is fun and games and it's not real and don't worry about it. It's all choreographed. No, because when money plays a role in this, it makes people do stupid and crazy things. The guy who you think is your friend may not be your friend if he finds out you're making more money than him. So when he gets in that ring with you, he tries to hurt you. Those are things, right? Those are things that you have to look out for. And not that it's done by the promoter or anything, but just because they feel that they need to do it because they want to prove a point. You have to be taught how to protect yourself at all times. You got to be able to take an ass kicking, a whooping, whatever you want to call it, and then be taught and explained to why it did happen the way it did. I don't know the situation. I don't know really what went on over there, but all I can say is that, like I said, our success rate at Team 3D Academy shows that we do things the right way. We don't have any problems. And if I got to get in there and stretch you a little bit, I'm going to stretch you, but I'm going to tell you why I did it, and I'm going to show you how to protect yourself.
Very cool. And I love the name, by the way, Team 3D Academy for Professional Wrestling and Sports Entertainment. This way you have every base covered, and nobody could say, well, they don't teach me everything, because you guys have all the bases covered.
Absolutely, and we love it. And again, where can you beat it? $9.99. Listen, tuition is normally $3,500 for the year for 12 months. You are getting the deal of a lifetime, $9.99. It's went on for the past 2 or 3 weeks. It's supposed to end on Sunday, but we're going to extend it because it's been doing so well that we're going to extend it one more week after WrestleMania, and therefore you have the opportunity to take advantage. If you don't take advantage now, well, I don't know what. Because, again, for 12 months at $9.99, that's a hell of a deal.
That is
Show me one wrestling school out there that will be able to say that they have done anything like we've done.
No. I mean, that's the thing. You guys, you said it, and I'll back it up. You guys have a name, whereas a lot of guys who are training guys, they never been on TV. So, I mean, you guys are well known for 2 decades.
Absolutely, and enjoying every bit of it.
All right. Well, I do have a couple questions for you that came in. I will bring it back to the school. I promise you I'm not going to veer off topic too far. But, of course, when Team 3D, Bubba Dudley, made his WWE return at the Royal Rumble, everybody and their brother was jumping online to see when's Team 3 going to be back in the WWE. And you know what? I'll tell you the truth, and I don't want to crap on my fans here, but when I posted that I was having you on, they said, ask him when they're coming back to WWE. And it was like everybody asked that same single question. So I guess I'll ask you, is that even an option at this point?
I think anything is an option. My opinion, people want to know how come I wasn't there at the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this. I was very happy, very honored, and delighted that Bubba went and got the response that he did. I was also happy that the fans never forgot him, but also they never forgot me. For them to have been cheering the way they were for him and to still know and to accept the fact that, number one, we have been gone for 10 years, but we had never been forgotten. I love the fans for that. Is there ever an opportunity for us to be there again? Absolutely. I look at it from a biblical standpoint. If God wanted me to be there at the Royal Rumble, then I would have been there. There's nobody that could have stood in God's way to stop me from being there if he wanted me to be there. It wasn't my time to be there. The day will come, maybe, if him and I will return back to the WWE. We don't have the answer to that. Only God knows. It's in God's time. Do I ever see us going back? Absolutely. When? Again, only God can tell you that. Only time will tell. So, therefore, with that being said, to answer a lot of people's questions, and I know people are going to say, well, you really didn't answer it. I'm going to say this. There's a great chance that we might come back to the WWE, and there's chances that, we may not. I don't know. I'm going to leave it in God's hands, and that's what I've been doing for my whole career. We have been blessed in every sense of the word from 1996, when we stepped foot in ECW, up until the present day. We have been one of the most successful tag teams in the history of this business, bar none, when people thought that we would never make it as tie-dye freaks with overalls,
I got to tell you, absolutely. And I mentioned I grew up in northern New Jersey. I wouldn't have ever bet that the guys who made it as far as they did, because I was the guy who was up at 2:30 in the morning on Sports Channel, Saturday night at 2:30 in the morning, staying up to watch ECW back when it was really making an impact. People a lot of times they remember ECW and they remember the later era when it was on national television, but it was really that cutting edge stuff that happened when it was still regional that made it special.
And the great thing about it is that you look at it now, after all of those years, and what we've done, you look at us and today, we're in the best shape we have ever been, bar none. You look at what we've done 15 years ago, we are in better shape than we were back then. We're in better shape now, I should say, than we were back then. We move a lot better back then, even with all the miles. I dare you to define anyone out there that can tell us that what we do today isn't still relevant as of what we did yesterday.
Does that have anything to do with being in there every day at the school?
It helps. It helps. You don't build up that rust. But, Bubba and I both take pride in our appearance. We take pride in what we do in that ring. We're not done. We still have a lot more to do. The deal is we want to pass the torch and be able to give that new tag team, the sign, okay, take over from here. I got my boys, Terrence and Terrell, who were seen on Impact,
exactly.
Who have graduated from high school. They went to college. They're personal trainers now at Gold's Gym, one at Dr. Phillips and the other one in Claremont. And they're both going to the wrestling school, and they are doing phenomenal. It's great because Bubba's a hard ass when it comes to looking at people and going, okay, they got it. They're good. For him to sit there and to say, my boys are good, speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. And I'm definitely looking for them to take over where Bubba and I left off. They are spot on. They are doing great, but they're not ready yet. They're only 20 years of age. They have time to develop. They're good, but I need them great.
There you go. Carry on the family name.
Absolutely, and that's why they're at the Team 3D Academy.
Very cool. I will let you go in just a minute. I just want to ask you this question, and this is more a me question, and it pertains to, I mentioned you guys are part of one of the hottest things going a couple of years ago. I mentioned I'm in Phoenix. I can attest to that.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean one of the hottest things? We still are the hottest thing going.
Oh, I'm referring to the Aces and Eights. Now, yes. I can attest to this. I'm in Arizona. I'm sitting in a room with no fan on, and it's blazing hot in here already in March. But I wanted to ask you about, obviously I was at Bound for Glory. I saw when you got unmasked. Were you guys satisfied with the ultimate result of Aces and Eights? Because it seemed to, unfortunately, it kind of reached a climax when it was at its hottest, and unfortunately it seemed to fizzle.
I'll stop you here because I know where you're going with this. Bubba and I were very happy with that. We had a lot of fun with Aces and Eights. My opinion, and I will say this, the creator, when you create something, you know where it has to go. But when you have other hands in it and think that they have the answer to where it needs to go, that's where it goes south.
Too many hands in the cookie jar?
Too many hands in the cookie jar when you should have left the original one doing its job. And I feel that wholeheartedly. Bubba feels that wholeheartedly. That's like somebody coming in and rewriting the Sons of Anarchy. You don't do that. I don't remember his name, the writer, the creator of Sons of Anarchy. But I can't remember his name, Kurt something.
I can't remember his name either, but I know it's Peg Bundy's husband. Yeah, Peg Bundy's husband. Yeah.
but for somebody to come in and to take his vision and to make it into their own vision, Sons of Anarchy wouldn't have never lasted as long as it did. The minute the original writer and creator of Aces and Eights, the minute it was taken away from him, and the other people put their hands in it, that's where it went south. It didn't have to go that way. It could have still been. Hey, Aces and Eights probably could have still been going today.
I think it could have.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is the original creator of the Aces and Eights basically was taken off of it and watered down to their version, and therefore Aces and Eights went the way it went.
You're probably going to say no to this, but I'll ask. Are you going to say who the creator was?
It was Devon Dudley and Bubba Ray Dudley.
It was you two. Okay. See, if this was a Jeopardy question, I would have gotten that one wrong.
No. It wasn't us. I don't know if this person would like to be revealed or who was the creator, but if he does, he'll come out and say who created it. But I give him kudos for what he did, and he helped me, in a company that basically didn't see me as being the guy that could be on his own and do things. And although I was proving it with that television title and doing my thing, I was still getting railroad. And for that person to be able to have enough confidence in me and to be able to put me in that role when I got unmasked, it was like, wow, he gave me a break, and I rolled with it and took it where it should have gone and held on to it. And so it was one of those things where I had a great time with it. Bubba had a great time with it. And, it was just sad that it went the way it went because it didn't have to go that way.
Absolutely. And like I said, I was lucky enough to be in the crowd at Bound for Glory. It's one of the few chances I had a chance to see TNA in person. And, I got to tell you that there was a kid who believed the story sitting behind me. He, not, smart Mark, smart alecky, over nitpicky kind of wrestling internet fan, but a guy my age who believes it all. And his reaction to it was priceless. And I almost, unfortunately, when the show ended, he was gone. I was actually going to say thank you, and he might not have known why I was saying thank you, but he actually made it better because it was seeing it from that perspective again. And, the crowd reaction when you were unmasked, that was awesome. And it was just a great experience to see you in person.
I don't think I even was expected for that to happen. To this day, when people ask me about it, I can't describe the feeling and oh my God that came through that arena that night. You just had to be there.
Absolutely. And I've tried to explain to people what that arena was. It's a basketball arena for the they call it the Grand Canyon University, and it's a basketball arena. So it's not exactly huge, but it was loud. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I got to tell you, it's been great having you on the show. I promised you I wouldn't keep you on too long. I hope I didn't exceed what we said. And where can people find out where they can register for the $9.99 price for Team 3D Academy?
Absolutely. You can call us or go online. You can. Well, let me just say this. You can call us at area code 407-390-9005. That's one way. You can go on our Facebook at Team 3D Academy, like us, email us on Facebook, or or go to team3dacademy.com. We have one more week after Sunday to be able to take advantage of this $9.99 deal. And I'm telling you, if you don't take advantage now, you'll miss out. The regular price is $3,500 for the year. And if you can't bring it all up front for $3,500, it's $500 down, $250 a month. But we're giving you the opportunity of a lifetime for $9.99 to be able to take advantage for 12 months at $9.99.
And I mentioned a bunch of names that is on TNA, and obviously there's a lot of others who are getting tryouts. So it seems to be the place to go to get it trained the right way. You know, Larry Zbyszko is going in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. He's my second interview ever, over 12 years ago. And he said to me that there is no old school and new school. There's only the right way and the wrong way, and you guys are definitely doing it the right way.
Well, if it came from Larry Zbyszko's mouth, you know he don't lie. He'll shoot on you in a heartbeat. If he says it, then it's got to be the gospel.
All right, man. Well, I can't thank you enough for spending this much time with me. I hope you have a great night and enjoy the festivities this weekend.
You got it, my brother, and I'll just keep testifying and pumping people out. Remember, it's just one of those things. You can't have a future without passing the torch, and that's exactly what Team 3D does.
This is Sting, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
Welcome back, guys, to Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com, YouTube, and Facebook. James Walsh here, joined as always by Mr. Patrick Kelly.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy indeed. So, it's been a while. A couple things have happened, like Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, and now we're in WrestleMania season.
Yeah, we had St. Patrick's Day last week. Don't forget that.
You can't forget St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah.
It's a major holiday where a second city dyes their river green. So you can't forget that.
Yep. That's life without a little fun, right?
Exactly.
Of course, a lot of other things have also happened, like WWE falling off a cliff in terms of the quality of their programming.
It's called coasting. What they're doing right now is called coasting. They know, and it's what spot shows do, and it's what WCW did, and it's what so many other people do. They pull out big names, and then they forget to actually write creative content for them. And it's like,
you basically hit the nail on the head right there.
Like, hey, we got Sting, so here's like no real cohesive, interesting story. We're just going to have him.
And the sad thing is, the Sting match is the best built-up match on the show.
And it's not even that well built, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just kind of, and this is, to go back to what you said about coasting, I feel like watching Raw week to week, I feel like I'm watching the same show every week, because you'll have Bray Wyatt cut a promo, because Undertaker's not on TV, so it's just Bray Wyatt basically having to sell this whole thing by himself. I get the same tag matches every week with all the Intercontinental title guys, and all those guys have no direction, and, you'll get if Sting's on the show, you'll get a stare down with him and Triple H, and that's mostly the extent of it. And then you get Roman Reigns. You'll get a Paul Heyman promo. You'll get Roman Reigns doing something looking stoic, basically, and the fans are not buying into him at all. And if that's not obvious to everyone watching the show, then I don't know what to tell you. But
they believe that at WrestleMania he's going to get a largely babyface reaction, and I think he's going to get booed out of the stadium.
It's going to be bad. I'll tell you when it's really going to get bad, the night after WrestleMania, when he's walking around with the belt, because that post-Mania crowd has gotten a reputation for being a little rowdy and a little crazy and being very...
That's my good folks in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the funny thing about that crowd is that it's mostly like tourists and Europeans that come overseas to go see WrestleMania. And that's why the crowd has a different flavor to it that most American crowds don't.
That's true. And it's also the fact that there was something like mesothelioma caused by the Izod Center or something, and it made them act insane, which is why they closed it.
And I missed it. I could have gone to Raw the next night, and I missed it.
Yeah, that would have been, frankly, no offense, because WrestleMania is the big show, but that is more memorable. WrestleMania, the Raw after was almost more memorable than WrestleMania 29 itself.
Oh, I agree. I was there. Okay, I was at WrestleMania 29. I'm telling you, almost nothing happened on that show.
No, there was some good stuff, but it was not the best WrestleMania ever. But
no, there were no moments.
There were no moments. But speaking of no moments, we should probably run down this WrestleMania, and run it down we will. Let's do some predictions. Let's do a predictions game and see who gets them right.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, to start things off, we have the pre-show match for the tag titles. Yeah, the tag titles are still on the pre-show. Isn't that cute? And I believe this match they're doing is almost identical to the one they had on the pre-show last year. You have the tag team titles on the line. It'll be the Usos, who were in last year's match, Los Matadores, who were in last year's match, the New Day, who are replacing Ryback and Curtis Axel, who was the team from last year, and the champion.
To call them WWE's Beatdown Clan.
I call them a lame. I don't even know what they're doing with them, to be perfectly honest. That's a gimmick I just don't get.
It's a lame attempt at a racial gimmick.
Is that what it's supposed to be? I don't even know what the point is. You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the Garfield cartoon, Garfield and Friends?
Are we talking Garfield, the Garfield show, or Garfield and Friends, like Garfield and Friends?
That one, yeah.
Okay, I like that one, yeah.
Okay, the Buddy Bears. Do you remember them?
The Buddy Bears, the ones that would be the end friends of the Garfield and Friends, am I right?
Well, he had a lot of friends, but the Buddy Bears, there was this group of singing bears that were supposed to be making fun of the Care Bears, I guess. And basically their whole thing is, don't have any individual thought, just be happy and compromise your beliefs for your friends. And that's very much what the New Day is like to me. It's like, just smile and be positive. Don't have conflict or anything. Just smile, be positive. And that's why nobody likes them, because they're lame. But anyway, the New Day's in this match, and the fourth team is Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, and I guess Tyson Kidd is Cesaro's new tag partner after him and Jack Swagger split up. Cesaro, he didn't amount to anything, did he?
Hey, he won the WrestleMania Andre the Giant Battle Royal last year, and then he became a Paul Heyman kind of guy, and then he kind of became not a Paul Heyman kind of guy, and that was it.
Yeah, that's...
Hey,
I don't understand that, but...
We got a guy who knows the history of the business. He's likable. He can work better than 99% of the roster. Stands to reason that we have nothing for him.
Well, he's a tag champion now, which is also synonymous with having nothing for you. So, anyway, that's your pre-show match. I'm going to pick... I guess Tyson and Cesaro to retain, because I don't see the Matadors or New Day winning the belts, and one of the Usos is hurt, and so they're probably not going to be doing much in this match, so I would imagine the belts would stay with them.
I'm going to go against you. I'm going to say they're going to give it to the Usos on the guys that they want their sons to have the tag belts, Rikishi's kids to have their tag belts the day after Daddy goes into Hall of Fame.
They could do that. They do stuff like that.
That's what I remember
actually,
this very thing 11 years ago with the Edler, and he asked me, well, who's going to win this tag match? And I said, probably Rikishi, because they love to promote stagnant characters. And I'm saying the same thing for the same reason.
Yeah, okay. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I think a lot of my predictions are going to go along the same lines. It's like, I love to it because they want to make people happy.
My wife for the Edler accent, my wife who is English, it has nothing to do with the fact he was English. It had to do with the fact that he whispered and mumbled. That was just... Okay.
Well, I was back in college when I first listened to those episodes, so it feels like an eternity ago. But
I like Jack.
Yeah, I like Jack Evans.
I don't know why. Of all the things he said, that's the one thing that's kind of just like stuck.
It's like Terry Funk's "I lost my ass in that match."
I lost my ass in that match.
I mean, you want to talk about a WrestleMania moment? I mean, that's it right there.
Losing your ass.
Yeah, but anyway, getting into the actual WrestleMania card, we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which will have 20 names in it. I'm not even going to bother listing them all because it's basically a jobber ball. What I will say is that it is complete and utter bullshit that Miz and Mizdow do not have a singles match at WrestleMania, and they just got shoved into this. I think that's shameful. I felt like they had the best. I'm truthfully speaking here. They had the best build-up, storyline, character interaction, everything heading into WrestleMania season, and the fact that they don't have a match to me, is insulting. But
I can say the same thing in a lot of ways about Goldust and Stardust.
Oh well.
And they're not even, as far as I know, they're not even going to face off in this match.
No, Stardust is going to be in the ladder match,
which is stupid.
We'll get into that.
I mean, Christ. Sometimes you got to give the fans and the talent what they ask for. And Goldust has been asking for a match against Cody at WrestleMania for years. 3 years, to be exact. And they still haven't given it to him. Instead, they have them have the blow-off, not even a real blow-off, but the match at Fastlane. Come on now.
With very little build-up. And they did this, again, getting into how repetitive they are, they did this thing where Cody turned heel 3 weeks in a row. I mean, how many times is this motherfucker going to turn heel? I mean, they did it with Adam Rose. They just, okay, I saw it once. I don't need, I get it. He beat up the bunny. I don't need to see it every week.
Remember Triple H beating the crap out of Ric Flair with a sledgehammer for 3 segments straight? He does not know how to say things concisely. He has to get the story across 85 times. All right, you turned heel. Now, do it again, because it didn't take.
That might be, I don't know, but Triple H writes NXT, and their show's vastly superior to the main show.
He supports NXT. I think Dusty Rhodes writes it.
Well, again, I don't really know what the creative process is like. All I know is that NXT is a better show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to go with Ryback to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
I agree. If it were up to me, I would give it to Mizdow, just to kind of, or Miz, one of those two, just to kind of keep that story as the main focus. But it's going to go. Ryback seems to be the only guy in this thing that has any kind of momentum. No, though I do have a question. Where the hell is Sheamus?
Well, apparently he's going to return at WrestleMania. But the thing about that is, like, when they do returns, people have to really care.
Yeah.
And I just don't think for Sheamus that's going to happen. It's not going to be like, oh, it's the return of a legend. It's the return of the big white guy.
It's the return of Irish John Cena, let's be honest. I mean, that's basically what he is.
Beaker.
He's Beaker, yeah. He's Beaker's cousin.
Beaker's cousin, yeah, legitimately. I mean, I've had the blood test. I've seen them.
That's canon. That is canon. So, yeah. I just feel like they've been hyping his return for weeks, and I'm like, is there a date? Is he coming back? I don't know. I'm just seeing the same vignette every week. Again, going into how repetitive.
What they should do is they should show Sheamus. Blood runs cold. I hope somebody got the reference out there.
I got it.
Okay. 85 weeks of Glacier promos to the point where people assumed it was going to be Bret Hart. And then it just came in to be a karate guy from Mortal Kombat. And people are like, oh, Okay. What's next on the card? Is it the Intercontinental title?
We can jump into that one next. Next up, Intercontinental Championship ladder match full of every directionless character in the company. You got Wade Barrett, who's the champion, who loses all of his non-title matches, so he's a joke. You got Dean Ambrose, who's basically being fucked over by this match because the Intercontinental title was kind of his direction, and throwing all these other bodies in there kind of took that away from him. You got Dolph Ziggler, who, you thought he was going to get a big push after Survivor Series? Joke's on you, pal. He's in the same spot he's always in, fucking Intercontinental title. You got Daniel Bryan, who's the most over guy in the company, coming back from neck surgery that some of us thought might have been the end of his career, and they do not have a plan for him, so they just shove him into this match because, well, fuck, we got to do something with him, but we don't want to put him in the main event or any kind of match with any kind of significance. R-Truth is in there for God knows what reason. He's been a non-factor for as long as I can remember. Stardust is in this, which makes no sense because Goldust beat him last month, so shouldn't Goldust be higher on the totem pole than Stardust? And if there's somebody, Luke Harper's in this. He's part of that Wyatt gang group that never should have been broken up because, I don't know, they bring up tag teams and stables for no reason. That was one stable that people wanted to see more of, and they took it away from you. So, basically, these guys are going to go out there, they're going to kill themselves on ladders and deliver this big highlight reel, and it's all in this kind of empty void over a championship that means nothing, over a bunch of characters with no direction. And I feel bad for the guys, because most of those guys deserve better, but this is just a mess.
I think, well, to sum it up here, and we talked about it already, my heart breaks for Goldust because he deserves better. I mean, he's probably coming to the end of his career. At some point, you got to give the guys what they ask for. Predictions, they're going to give it to Daniel Bryan. This way they can try and save some face and say, hey, we didn't screw over Daniel Bryan. He's the Intercontinental Champion. That means something. It really doesn't, but they'll tell themselves that, but they won't call it a belt, though. They'll call it a championship, but it's not a belt. You wear it around your waist, but it's not a belt.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's another dirty little secret. Title is not the same thing as the belt. He stole the title. No, he didn't. He stole the actual physical artifact that represents you have that title. He did not steal the title. He stole the belt. But right. Vince is a weirdo, so we'll just let him have his weird little things. But, yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to pick Daniel Bryan to win this just because I can't. I mean, again, who fucking cares? I've got nothing.
It's a massive step down, and it's not his fault.
No question.
I mean, it's not his fault, and he's got to go out there and do these interviews and talk to USA Today and New York Times and try to sound like he's not dying inside, but in reality, we know different.
Yeah.
What's next on the card? We've been so positive on so far.
Oh, yeah, we're great. Okay, Divas tag match. It'll be Paige and AJ versus the Bella Twins. Again, going to their weird booking, they did the title match on Raw this week between Paige and Nikki. So my question is, why should I give a fuck about this match?
Here's what I see happening, another weird turn. Don't really care about the match. It's your TNA segment of the night. And I'm not particularly fond of any of them. I like AJ. I guess Paige is all right. Still don't see the appeal to the Bellas at all. So my pick is going to be the Bellas are going to win because Paige or AJ is going to go psycho bitch from hell on the other.
Now here's my question, and I agree with you.
We'll get another year of Paige and AJ matches, but there you go.
Sure, absolutely. Why not? But here's my question. Why are the Bellas friends again? Did I miss something? Did they drop that whole storyline?
Yeah, he was screwing her up. She cost her the match, I think, at SummerSlam. I mean, the whole thing happened. And then it's like, oh, well, that never happened. I guess blood is thicker than water. Bullshit, man. This is stupid. Because the writers don't care, and they don't assume that we care, so they don't try.
Okay.
What do you pick? You pick Bellas?
I'm picking Bellas, yeah.
All right. What's next up on the card?
Next up, we've got Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. Again, which would probably be the best match on the show, truth be told. My problem here is storylines. Orton already beat the crap out of him, so why should I care? You gave away your ending.
Well, yes, plus the storyline build-up is stupid. He gets taken out for an injury. He comes back, and instead of immediately destroying him, he agrees, I'm going to be cerebral, and I'm going to tag with him a couple of times. And then, when he thinks that I trust him, then I'm going to beat him up. Come on. Just do the right thing. He got put out of action for weeks. He comes in pissed as hell, and he beats the holy piss out of him. Just tell the story. You don't have to swerve us because nobody was swerved.
Nobody was, yeah. And the funny thing is, Orton took that beat down and was gone for months. Rollins took his beat down and was back the next week without a mark on him. So nothing means anything.
And if you don't believe he didn't have a mark on him, ask his ex-girlfriend to post some more pictures.
Oh, well, yeah.
That was
if
fun.
that's not a message to you guys out there, don't moral stance necessarily. What I'm saying is, don't cheat because you're going to get caught and it's going to be ugly. So, yeah. So just protect yourself. Just my advice. But yeah, I think the match itself could be really good. Like the ladder match, I think they'll go out there and have a car wreck of a match. It'll be a highlight reel. I just don't care. And with this match, I feel like both guys kind of got undercut because you already saw the massive beatdown, so I feel like there's no reason to really invest in it.
And who do you think is going to get the win?
Yeah, I would give it to Seth because he's basically, I mean, since Lesnar's a part-timer, he's basically the top heel on the show. So
I'm going with Orton just because of the same reason I went with Rikishi 11 years ago. They like to continue to push the oversaturated, so I think Orton's going to get the win.
Well, speaking of oversaturated, next up, United Championship, John Cena versus Rusev. So they built up Rusev as this unbeaten monster for over a year just so they could feed him to John Cena. Beautiful. Is there any doubt that Cena's going to win this?
Yes, as a matter of fact. I don't think
really?
he's going to win it. I'm trying to be optimistic and think that they'll continue this for something bigger because it's a mid-level match. Whether Cena's in it or not, it's really a mid-level match, which is the second Mania in a row. Like it or not, he's in a mid-level match.
Well, it's the second Mania in a row he's been up against an up-and-coming heel, and I think it'll be the second Mania in a row where he gets a victory over said built-up heel.
And he destroys him. And look, I mean, I guess Bray Wyatt has had some dark time since last WrestleMania. He's up high again now, but he's had some downtime along the way.
Yeah. No, because it's kind of what they do. They build up a new character, and every time somebody gets over or something interesting happens with the character, they have to have it interact with John Cena, either as an opponent or as a tag partner. Like when Dean Ambrose got over last year, it was like, well, it's the first thing they did. It's like, we got to put him with Cena. And I'm like, I don't want to see him with Cena. I want to see him as far away from John Cena as humanly possible because I like him and I know that Cena's kind of a leech, and if you interact him with Cena, it's just going to be the John Cena show. But the reason I think Cena's going to win this match is, A, he lost at the last pay-per-view, which I called because I'm like, he's going to beat him in Mania. That's what they're going to do.
I'm going to go Rusev. You're going to go Cena. I'm going to go funny with it. They're going to have Zeb Coulter come out, and Cena's going to go, he's in America. He'll be on my side. And something will happen, and the camera will explode in Cena's face, and Rusev will get the win. And the next night, Zeb Coulter will start wearing those ridiculous big Russian hats. You know, and that'll be his new gimmick, and he'll start talking with a Russian accent. That's how I'd book it.
Wow. Okay. Points for creativity.
Okay. What's next on the card?
Next up, we have. Did I miss a match? I don't think I did. No, we're good. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Again, Undertaker's basically being fed Bray Wyatt on a silver platter. So, yeah, is there any doubt that Taker's going to win this?
No. I mean, I'd love to say no that you know we'll start a streak the other way and Bray will get the win and this will launch him.
Well, he's already lost at Mania, so you can't have a streak.
Going backwards, a backwards streak.
Oh yeah, 0-2. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do when I'm 0-2, dude?
I mean, if it were up to me, Bray would win, but I know their mindset. It's like, all right, we're going to keep him off TV until Mania time, and we're going to send the fans home happy and give Undertaker a win. And I know they're going to want to do Sting and Undertaker at the next WrestleMania. And they're going to have both of them win, which I just gave away my prediction for the next match. But they're going to have both of them win and then have that lead on to WrestleMania 32.
That's a year away, though. I don't give them enough credit for pulling that off. But
I would agree with Rick Cena.
I'll give you credit, yeah. Let's go with Sting and Triple H.
Sting and Triple H. Sting wins. There's really all there is to say about it. I think it's cool that Sting's going to be wrestling at WrestleMania. That's really the main highlight of this. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Sting physically. For those of you who didn't see what he was like in TNA, towards the end there, he was really starting to show his age. Well,
was he, or was he just bored? Because the stories were shit.
It could have been both. It could have been that he was just bored. I don't know. But that's the thing. We don't know.
Call, though. He was looking a little pudgy, wearing the shirt, the loose-fitting shirt in the end of TNA. He kind of was not looking like he was trying that hard. And if you look at him in WWE, he clearly has been working out like a madman. I wouldn't even be surprised if the shirt came off for WrestleMania and he's in, what was it, Bound for Glory 2006 or 7 shape when he just came out ripped to the hilts.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that. But again, how high do we want to set our expectations? Sting is, 55 years old?
56.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. And what was the next match?
Next match is the main event. Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against the Royal Rumble winner, Roman Reigns.
We're going to disagree on this one.
What'd you say?
We're going to disagree on this one.
Why do you say that?
I'm picking Brock.
You know what? I would have said Roman all the way, but the news that broke this week that Brock is re-signed with the company, is going to be staying for another 3 years, made me think that maybe they'll have him retained. And to be perfectly honest, Roman has been such a failure at top face. I can't imagine. No, just don't even entertain the idea of doing it. Just don't.
Don't even be surprised. They're going to swerve us. And this might be as wacky as my Zeb Coulter idea, but don't be surprised if they do a whole thing where, and I don't think either guy, because I'm not a Lesnar guy. I don't like him. I don't think he's that skilled. Everybody else loves him. I just don't see it.
I think he's a great physical. I want to use specimen. There you go. He's a great physical specimen, and if booked well, he can be very good. But when left to his own devices, I don't think he can carry the situations on his own. He needs the support of the booking and Paul Heyman as his voice box to really make everything work.
Because he wants Goldberg. The guy's promos are horrible. Long story short, I think they're going to do something where they play to the crowd, and the crowd clearly picks their favorite, and it's not Reigns. And don't be surprised if it's something similar to when Brock returned, and he knocks the crap out of Cena. You know what I mean? When he knocked the crap out of Cena in his return, and the crowd went nuts. Don't be surprised if they almost make this a somewhat squash, and Brock goes over.
Ooh, that would be interesting. And
it would be kind of like, and then you get another 2 months of promos talking about how he destroyed the indestructible and believed that, and all the other crap from Heyman, because apparently Brock's going to get another part-time contract. And the rematch will probably happen at whatever's going to be in June's pay-per-view. I don't think they'll wait until SummerSlam. And, don't be surprised if they start doing things like that and just lay off on him. But I just don't see them giving it to Reigns. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll surprise me. They're already releasing action figures with Reigns with a belt, so it kind of stands with reason.
Because they're so merchandise-driven, that might have given it away right there.
Yeah, I saw it at Walmart the other day. They have out already. They have the WrestleMania main event in a package with the belts, and then they have another action figure that came out with Reigns with the belt. So it's like, all right. That kind of tells me all I need to know.
And this is probably the most stubborn show of force from Vince McMahon ever, that they've decided to just run with Roman Reigns here. It's I don't know. When it's clearly not working, that's the thing. It's clearly from the moment he won the Royal Rumble, and I would argue even before then, it was clear that the fans were just not buying what he was selling.
Nope, I ain't buying what you're selling, boy. And that was just not working, and it just was horrible. And he's not a good interview. He's getting better, but then again, that's like saying that I don't even know what I was gonna make some kind of an off-color remark, but in reality,
I thought Uwe Boll has improved as a director. The movies he makes now are not as bad as the ones he was making earlier on in his career, but
who's this?
That's not saying much.
Who?
Uwe Boll. He did a lot of video game adaptation films that were terrible, like Blood Rain and Into the Dark and all that other crap.
I got you. He's improved. No, I'm going to go less with that and just say he's improved, but it's not like there was not a lot of room to go backwards. He had to move upwards. So
exactly.
It's not his time, and it's not like a Bret Hart kind of thing where Bret started at average or slightly below average and got to really good. He's starting at complete bullshit, and he's climbed his way up to minor bullshit. He's still not any good.
No, and you mentioned Bret. Bret did not have the strongest promos initially when he first got pushed. What he sold was his wrestling. He was a damn good wrestler, arguably the best that's ever laced up the boots. What does Reigns have?
A look.
To make up for the promos. He has a look. That's it.
There's a believability factor because of his look that you can argue as well, and the way they've booked him has been strong, but we live in a brave new world where people are able to voice their opinions a lot differently than before, where the look isn't all that matters anymore. You kind of have to. See, people are not looking at wrestling just as this guy looks impressive against this guy who looks impressive. They're also looking at it at the technical aspects, and part of that is because people are looking at wrestling in the same vein that they look at MMA, that they look at football, that they look at baseball, where, you know what?
Or even TV shows like Game of Thrones. They look at story and character, too. And
it's a whole brave new world where you get all these things put together. I mentioned the sports because people look at it a lot more like athletics, and they view their attributes a lot more than they used to. Like, okay, well, this guy's not as fast as this guy, but he's stronger than this guy, and things like that. Whereas in the past, it would be kind of like, Ultimate Warrior's big and strong, so he can face off against Hulk Hogan, who is also big and strong, and there's no Warrior's a little faster than Hogan because Hogan's always been a little clunky and slow, but Hogan's got the powers that come back from these things and, a lot of strength and things like that, and the experience edge. And there was no looking at it like that back then. It was just superhero versus superhero, and that's not how people are looking at it now. They're looking at it as a much more believable sports, almost fantasy football kind of thing, fantasy baseball kind of thing, where they're looking at their attributes, their accomplishments, and things like that way differently than they did 20, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, storyline-wise, too, with things like, the Nerdist is something that has really shaped the way people look at all forms of entertainment. Might be a microcosm thereof. I'm not sure I'm giving it all credit to that. But just saying, they look at it in a more inquisitive eye, as opposed to just accepting what is.
Yeah, and I've always, and I've said this many, many times over the years, you shouldn't have to just blindly accept whatever the WWE gives you. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I know you and I both like JBL as champion. A lot of people didn't. It's like, okay, fine. You don't have to like it if you don't like JBL as champion. But, what you had this year, you had Daniel Bryan coming back from neck surgery, and the fact that they had no major storyline lined up for him, I think, really ticked a lot of people off. And then when they saw the Royal Rumble and how that played out, it was like...
And then Fastlane was bullshit. But there's other things, too. There's Mizdow and The Miz. There's Goldust, I keep going back to it, and Stardust, which has been built up for several months. Even including guys like Hogan. You got Axelmania, the son of Kurt Hennig, who Hogan wrestled 100 times, wearing a knockoff Hulk Hogan shirt. Well, incorporate that. Do something where Hogan either gets in the match.
Well, okay, I'll tell you where they fucked up there is, and this is where again, repetition.
When John Cena destroyed him? Was that when?
Say what?
When John Cena beat the piss out of him? Was that when they destroyed it?
They've been doing that every week. Everybody, he's been beat up every week since the Royal Rumble, just about. And I'm thinking, all right, you have this guy. Let's look at this from a story standpoint. You have this guy who believes that he was not eliminated from the Royal Rumble and that he was unfairly removed from the match and that he was virtually eliminated or whatever. All right, you either make that a one-night joke, which I thought that's what they did because Dean Ambrose beat him up the first night after the Rumble. It was like, okay, it was just a one-night joke. Or you give the guy a character arc, lead him into something where he tries to ruin WrestleMania in protest that he was screwed out of his title shot, and then have the heel take his fall at WrestleMania. And what they did instead was, we'll make it a running gag that gets increasingly stupid week to week. It just makes Axel look like a moron, and it makes the show look stale and stagnant.
Well, and what they could have done, though, is they could have had a WrestleMania moment, put him in their Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You could even have him win it. And wearing the Hulk knockoff shirt, he can be, body slam the statue or something stupid like that. And Hogan comes out and they square off, and Hogan gets a couple punches, and you get a nostalgia thing out of it. He doesn't have to beat him, but give that moment, and you get that whole big thing culminating in something that actually was cool, as opposed to a bunch of bad comedy.
Exactly. And, you and I just sitting here on the phone, we mapped out something to really help that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal stand out more and feel like more than just an excuse to cram 20 guys onto the card. And as it stands now, it's basically just a bunch of guys that are thrown into a match.
And there's two matches like that.
Yeah.
There used to be one that they'd have, and it was usually a ladder match, where they just, okay, here's a bunch of guys in a match because we have nothing for them. There's two like that. I think that tells you all you need to know.
Three if you count the four-way tag on the pre-show.
That's true. That's true, too.
My God.
And you got guys like Mick Foley, who got a job now inducting Kevin Nash in the Hall of Fame. Why not Shawn Michaels? I don't know.
That is a weird one. That's Foley inducting him?
Yeah, makes no sense.
Okay, well, unless Nash picked
Why not Waltman? Are they not available? Do they not want to pay their plane ticket? What the hell? I mean, just call them up. I'm sure they'd do it.
I mean, but I don't know. Maybe Nash wanted that. I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of like Warrior last year where he was like, I want Linda McMahon to induct me. It's like, seriously? Okay, that's an interesting choice.
All right. Well, it wouldn't be real if he had Hogan. I mean, he had heat with Hogan. But oh, by the way, I'm going to end with this. If I was Larry Zbyszko, I would not eat the catering. That's all I'm going to say. It's another guy who's coming back after a long-standing feud with WWE with lawsuits and bullshit. Don't eat the catering. Don't get sucked into the whole thing. Just take it in stride, Larry, because I don't want to report on Tuesday that you've dropped, okay?
Well, I won't think they'd murder him, but...
I'm saying what I'm saying, and I'm not exploring it any further.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me. But anyway, WrestleMania, I'm actually more excited for the Hall of Fame than I am for WrestleMania. The Hall of Fame is actually a pretty good class.
It is. And I hate the fact that people like Medusa are going in under their WWE moniker because it was like one little sliver of a really good career, and it's not the best sliver. But they did do a good job with the class. A little disappointed, and it was going to make me sound like an old fart, but Ray Stevens should have gone in. At least now we're finally getting Savage in. I'm probably going to cry like a baby at Lenny Paffo's speech for him. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Although I will say, if you want some wrestling content worth watching, I highly recommend Underground and New Japan. And if you want a WWE show that's good, watch NXT. So I just got done watching both NXT and Lucha Underground right before we got on the phone here, and it was both shows were pretty good.
It's there's stuff to watch that's good, and I'm glad for that. And I even like Pro Wrestling Syndicate and the secondary independent shows that are posted online. I like that stuff. I like the weekly OVW show more than I like TNA or WWE, and that's really heartbreaking to me. But I like that stuff a lot more than the main WWE, or I guess main, but At this point, they're getting Fox Sports Net ratings, TNA numbers. So
I
just don't see
Well,
it.
who the hell has Destination America?
I do. I mean, I have DirecTV, so I get it.
I mean, I have it too, but I can't imagine too many people actually have it.
It's supposedly in 40 million homes, which is half the reach of Spike. They're looking to try to desperately get on things like Netflix and things like that so people can actually check their shows out. How that would be a measurable medium and ratings and things like that, I don't know. But looking at
download. I mean, they do measure that. I mean, that's how House of Cards, the success of that show was measured.
I guess that could be their only saving grace is if that Destination America station, which doesn't have a very good reach, gets a lot of their content put on things like Netflix. But I just don't see how this is going to work out well for TNA, other than the fact that they get a lot of programming time. They have time to do stuff. They don't, but they have time to do stuff.
I will say this, though. I will throw TNA a bone here. I thought the show they did a couple weeks ago with EC3 and Rockstar Spud in the main event was actually very good.
That was good. That was because it wasn't a bunch of lame-ass characters who believe the shit that they say that infuriates me. And not in like a heel way, and I'm not watching this shit way. With MVP, who is actually a Ferguson rioter. Reality. I'm talking for truth here. And now we got, oh God, my favorite of all time, Homicide's going to be in it too. Oh Christ, I can't wait not to watch that show.
I'm just thinking it's like evil stable takes over the company. I mean, that's all they know how to do, apparently.
Well, it's true. But it was cool a couple of times. I mean, it was all right with Main Event Mafia. Never really liked it. It was cool when Aces and Eights came, and then there was no story to it. There was no...
Well, I was telling you a couple days ago, that storyline worked best when you had no idea who anybody was. And I should also throw this out there. I had an idea on how to pay that storyline off. And, yes, I'm totally ripping off Fight Club here. I don't care. It's a great movie, so I'm stealing from something good. My idea was to have Joseph Park be a victim of the Aces and Eights, but then it's revealed on the road that Abyss is ultimately the leader, and the split personality is in charge of the group and a victim of the group and doesn't realize it until there's this big reveal where it turns out they're the same guy.
Well, I mean, that would be better what they did.
Yeah, and again, I'm telling you, I ripped off Fight Club. That's what I did, but...
Well,
still,
they ripped off Sons of Anarchy. That's what they did. So it's all right, dude. Well, it's good talking to you again. Hopefully we'll have an interview attached to this thing. If we don't, we'll just post it online, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you guys again for listening, and if you have any questions, just check us out at WrestlingEpicenter.com. Check out the store. We have just piles of new stuff we've put up, so there's a lot to pick from. And as always, check us out on Facebook, and of course, check out WrestlingEpicenter.com.